Welcome to the Enva He Meant Company Music Podcast with your hosts KP and Ashton Thomas. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
What's happening, everybody?
What's up, everybody?
I'm Ashton.
And I'm KP.
And this is the Enva He Meant Company Music Podcast, the show made by music enthusiasts.
For music enthusiasts.
Y'all know what it is. And as you see today, we have a very special guest with us, a guy that I've been working with for about 2, maybe 3 years now. Just an overall great guy, multidisciplinary artist, singer, songwriter, producer, and actor too. He's been a part of some major motion pictures and some other films as well, and we're gonna get into that. He's also a part of the Legendary Dazz Band, so we're going to talk about his experiences with that group as well. And so I want y'all to give a warm and vehement welcome to the one and only Mr. Alvin Frazier.
Welcome.
Hey, I think it's my pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So we'll just start from the beginning. How did you get acclimated into music? Who were some of the guys you were listening to? How did you start singing or playing? Because you're a musician as well. You play some instruments. So just tell us how you got started in it.
So the short story is my father was a singer. He had a 5-man group back in the 70s. So, kind of along the lines of like your Temptations and your Dramatics and, groups like that, right? So they would rehearse at the crib in the living room, after work, get in a circle and kind of do the harmony thing, and I'm the little kid kind of in the way. I'm like 2, 3 years old at the time when they were starting to do this. So I'm kind of just in the way, kind of want to get in the middle of the circle and take in all the sounds that I was hearing and stuff like that. And, playing records around the house as well. My mom was very musical. She played drums when she was young. So they were both very musical people, loved music a lot. And it just kind of rubbed off on me to the point where they start to hear me kind of copy what I was hearing my dad and them do and, records that were playing around the house. And they can kind of tell I had some kind of musical ability going on, that it was rubbing off on me. And I want to say maybe when I was about like 3, my mom got me like my first toy guitar and bought me like a little small electric organ that I used to, work out ideas. I don't know. Nothing that was going to be on the radio, but I can remember hearing ideas in my head as early as 3 years old. I could hear ideas back then. And just kind of, fast forwarding, man, through school. Still did music, had singing groups in school, and did that kind of thing, singing in the hallways, all that good stuff, after school, getting get girls' attention, doing that kind of stuff. So, of course, you want to sing in the hallways after school. And then I was in hip hop for a number of years. That's not in my bio, but I was in hip hop for a while as a producer and DJ and MC in that area of music for a while. Really was committed to that as well. And started revisiting being a musician maybe when I was in my early 20s and started performing professionally as a musician in my 20s. So that's kind of like the formative years in a nutshell.
Gotcha. So I guess with that songwriting, at what point did you start writing songs? What was the inspiration behind wanting to write songs?
You know what? The inspiration aspect was just a matter of I just love songs, and so hearing so much music, I can remember just being real intuitive about how I understood music as a young age and listening real intensely to it. Like I remember we had a neighbor upstairs from our house. He was a friend of my parents, but he was like an uncle, so we called him Uncle Dave. Uncle Dave was like, that's a whole nother story. He was like the coolest bachelor I ever met to this day, right? But he would always be playing music upstairs. I remember I put my ear to the wall and I would study the bass lines to the songs. For some reason, I was a strange kid, And listening to songs, of course, I was touched by the lyrics. And I always kind of understood like the power of songwriting, because when I think back to songs that I liked as a kid, I'm talking about like before I got into grade school, like how could these lyrics touch me? And I don't understand nothing about love. I don't know nothing about You know what I mean? As a kid, we don't understand that kind of stuff. But the power of a great song, can have an effect on you even when you haven't gone through what the subject matter is talking about. The feeling and the emotion of those records, how they were back then. Sadly enough, I don't think we have enough of that now. But they would touch us. And me being the type of person I am, very in tune with that kind of stuff. I was good with words. I used to like to write stories and stuff, and I just kind of use that to kind of start cutting some ideas down. I want to say the first time I put something on tape was probably about 8 years old.
Gotcha. Word up. Yeah, and I can definitely attest to that, not really understanding, the context of a song, but just being moved by. Because even me, earlier in my life, I never told you this, but like listening to certain songs and I guess the key signature or the mood or whatever, like depending on whatever it was, I would just be driven to tears, and nothing's wrong. It's just, I'm just this much moved by the music that I'm hearing. So I
The beauty
definitely
of it will do
understand.
that. The beauty
Yes.
will do it. And it happens to me now, even though I do it professionally. There are times I'm still moved by certain lyrics and certain melodies. I can be playing something on guitar and it'll touch me. I mean, I don't break down and start crying on the stage, but I feel it. You know what I mean? I get a little moisture in my eye, like, wow, something about it attaches to it. I'm a very emotional performer in the sense that I'm always kind of emotionally connected to whatever it is I'm playing, and I've seen that effect it has on people as a result of that.
So like your sound sits between like R&B and jazz, right? So like how do you define yourself as like the lane, like your lane as an artist?
hmm Um, Truthfully, I just kind of go with the flow because I feel like, and I'm sure you all may be able to attest to this. It's like whatever it is that you do, if you're good at multiple things, people are always going to put you in a position where they say you should choose something. You know, uh, choose to be an R&B singer, choose to be a jazz guitar or bass player, whatever it is. Like which one? And I'm like, why do I have to choose? I'm equally as good at both of them. So when I look at people like, say, George Benson, for instance, he's like a blueprint for me because he was like the first time that I had seen as a kid someone he's a great singer and he's a great guitar player. And so in concert, if you ever seen George Benson perform, especially like in his heyday, you're gonna get a hell of a show because he can put the guitar down and just sing, and you're gonna just enjoy him like you would any male singer that you love, a Luther Vandross or a Joe or whoever you into at this point in time. You're gonna enjoy George Benson with the guitar in his hand, without. And then it can be another show where it's a jazz show. He ain't singing much at all. He just playing guitar. And so I'm like, yeah, I could do that.
All of that.
Yeah. It's afforded me well, so I can do a show where I never sing a note, and the people are gonna have an amazing time just because of what I can do with my guitar. Some people don't know I sing until I sing something. It's like, what? And he can sing too. Oh my God, or he can really play guitar. They say, well, he's played guitar too. Like, oh, okay, he probably pick around that guitar, but he's really a singer. It's like, no, I'm equally adept at both. Even as an actor, the same thing. People will say, "Oh, he's a singer that's trying to act." No, I'm an actor.
Word up.
Make no
No,
mistake.
that's word.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Love that.
So let's get into your personal discography. You have 3 solo albums out. So the first one, Love and Faith Volume 1, released back in 2006. What was some of the inspiration behind that, if you want to talk about it?
Oh man. Okay. So the inspiration was definitely divine because that album that album was kind of controversial when it came out, actually. At that time, like I was doing pretty much just doing contemporary gospel music at that time. I was born again in 96. And so I was doing like mainly contemporary gospel. And then when you know, I had started writing some songs that kind of had like a hybrid of like R&B and B and gospel, where I was addressing the spirituality aspect, but I was also, addressing like love and romance in the relationship. in the song as well. And I had like a couple of demos of songs that I'd written. I'm like, I don't know where these gonna go to, because I'm like, there was nothing like that. This was like back in '99, and I'm like, they nice songs, but I'm like, where did that come? All right, yeah, back to contemporary gospel. So when I decided I was going to do an album in 2005, and I was like, man, this is my first time out. How do I make my greatest impact and all that stuff like that? And not that I couldn't have done it, obviously, doing contemporary gospel, but I've always liked to be the fish that would swim upstream, so against the current, right? So I felt like God was leading me just to put together an album that was going to tie in, love and faith. And I'm like, oh Lord, you trying to get me killed out here, because these people gonna be like, no, we don't do that here. We don't talk about love between man and women here. We don't do that. So I went ahead and I just obeyed what I feel like God was saying, man. Did the album. It was definitely controversial because there was nothing else out like that at the time. The beautiful thing is it allowed me to pioneer something, and I think in every artist's career, you only hope that you can do something in your creative journey that is like something that shakes things up and that like actually carves out, a lane and create something. So Love and Faith Volume 1 is a great album. It would get reviewed as an R&B album, right? I remember when I got my first review for it in the paper, and the guy, and I'm paraphrasing it, he said it is a great R&B album with Christian themes, right? I got so bent out of shape by that because I was like, it's not an R&B album, it's a, I'm like, that R&B album is a Christian soul, whatever case may be. So I called my homeboy who worked in radio, and I said, man, did you see it in the paper? He said, yeah, I saw. I said, yeah. He said he gave you a B plus. I'm like, nah, forget all that. He said it's an R&B album. So I'm worked up. Like, nah, man. He said, look, you focusing on the wrong thing. I'm like, what do you mean you're focusing on? I couldn't even sleep last night thinking about this. He said, let them think that it does have an R&B feel. That's where you come from. He said, but if it's getting the word out there to him and the way you doing, he said, let it be what it's going to be. I did, and I'm giving you a short story because it's some great stories around that album alone. But later I found out like that guy really enjoyed that album, gave me a B plus. I found out later he was an atheist. He didn't even believe in God, but the album touched him. You know what I mean? That album touched him because what I was finding when I would come across certain people, like, somebody say, my son took your album, he won't give it back to me. Now, his son, he on the streets, he doing whatever he do, you know what I'm saying, living his life. But he may not have grabbed a commission album, he may have grabbed a James Cleveland CD, whatever, but he saw mine, put it on, and the feel of that album because of, the R&B vibe. And yeah, I still talked about God. I still was ministering to the heart of people. And I was still telling when I talked about at the beginning of the interview, just like my ability to connect emotionally. And I think that was allowing me to connect to people who was like, yo, Castle, like, yo, I don't fool with the church like that. I own this, I own that, I own that, but I love your album. That meant a lot because I was like, okay, if I'm gonna get out here and do this, like, what's my audience, man? Like, who you want me to connect with? Because this is an album that hasn't really been done before. So I don't know how this is gonna go. Church folk was kind of up in arms at first. And so they weren't really on board with it at first. You know what I mean? It was like the outside people were kind of connected to it. And I said, well, you know what? That's where I came from. So those are people I probably need to be going after anyway. And sharing the love of God with them, like I'm relating to you right here. You know what I mean? Not looking down on you. I'm like, yo, I know where you've been. I know where you're coming from. It's all good. God is good. He's got you. Don't worry about it. And that allowed that album to be very impactful, man. So that album is always going to be a special one because it changed the game. Little do people know. Because then it was like, oh, Fred Hammond's doing a type of album like that. Smokey, I'm like, oh, interesting. Because I would see my name on the same websites with these guys. You know what I mean? So then, like, after I saw I guess they might have looked me up, maybe, who is Alvin Frazier? Why is he on here with us? Then I'm like 6 months, a year later, they're trying to do an album that's got a love and faith connect to it when they never did anything like that. So I realized I was creating a movement just by taking that chance and obeying what God was saying on those first album, 2 albums.
Oh, for sure. So, Wonderful Love, Love and Faith, Volume 2 was in that same vein, pretty much. So,
Yeah, a little more R&B. Still definitely the same vein. At that point, when you're doing your first album, you're figuring it out. And by the time I got to album 2, it was like, okay, now I got my rhythm going. You know what I'm saying? Everything's a little more glossier and polished a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And and again, so at that point, when that album was being picked and charting on like R&B charts, I was cool by then. I'm like, yeah, let it ride, baby, let it go, let it do what it's gonna do. And I settled in it, and I said, okay, I'll move through the R&B circle, and at the same time, they listen to the album, they'll get bits and pieces of where I'm coming from on a ministry aspect. But yeah, I am talking about like being in love and romance. That was still going on. But now I kind of found, for lack of better words, like I say formula, but I don't want to be formulaic when I do anything. But yeah, just basically like I kind of like got my rhythm by album 2. And that album was a lot bigger and more successful, off the heels of like Something to Remember that I did with my friend Cassandra Stewart that we wrote together. And that took that album, to the stratosphere, like because of that one song.
Dope. So, getting into your more recent album, River, which was released back in 2021, would you say that was kind of like an offset or a segue from the Love and Faith series, or were you trying to keep that same thing going? Or
No, it was definitely an intentional move to go into R&B. I'm like, okay, I've done the Love and Faith thing for 2 albums, and I remember debating if I was going to do a 3. I was like, feeling like it may be time to do something different just as an artist. And I was like, R&B is like my pedigree. So I said, let me finally do a dedicated R&B album. I mean, so I felt like it was time, to get into that. I mean, I'd already kind of segued, like you said, because the first 2 albums had R&B influence. So by the time I did an outright bona fide R&B album, I don't think it was a big shock to my fan base. You know what I mean? I think even those who were fans of mine who got on board from the church was able to get with the River album, because by that time they knew who I was. They understood what I was about. And I had built a relationship with the fan base to where they could relate.
definitely. So, besides being a solo artist, you're also a member of the Legendary Dazz Band.
Correct.
If you want to talk about some of your experiences being with that band and how you actually got into the band and some of your experiences since you've been in.
Okay. How how I got in the band was divine orchestration, because I wasn't looking for that. Basically what was going on, we were in the pandemic at the time. Y'all know how it was. We all locked down, we cabin fever. So, everybody was just kind of doing videos and stuff like that. And I had put a video, I said, you know what? People know me as, as R&B singer, they know me as a guitarist. And I was like, man, I kind of feel like people forget the fact that, I'm also, I get down on the bass guitar as well. So I said, well, let me just do some videos just to kind of do 2 things. Remind people that, your voice still plays bass. I haven't retired from that. And also kind of just like pick songs I think that'd be great for them to check out that they may not have heard before, So I'm like, or some cast is doing like 2-3 videos a day. I'm like, I'm definitely not going to do that. I'm like, we're going to do one, you're going to do 1 video a month. so, so I said, we're going to do 1 video a month. Friday night, I will do a video, put it up. Then I started like in April. I did like a Steely Dan. Then May, I did like a Lee Ritenour tune, just songs that just had really great bass lines and melody. And then the 3rd one was Gamble with My Love by Dazz Band, the song that I always really enjoyed. And I said, man, it's got a great bass line. I'm like, most people, they do a Dazz Band video, it's going to be Let It Whip. I'm like, all right, man, it's about 100,000 Let It Whip videos. I'm like, that's just going to get lost in the static. And I'm the kind of person, man, I'm like, if everybody's doing it, I don't want to do it. I'm just kind of like, everybody's doing it. Okay, bet. I'm gonna go this way, you know. So that's just my personality. It's like I just don't want to do what everybody else is doing. So I do gamble, put the video up, cool. Hashtag Cleveland Zone Dazz Band, you know, blah blah blah. Check the song out, it's great. About 2 weeks later, if that, I see a notification when I wake up that Dazz Band has reposted your video. I'm like, Like I didn't even know he was even on Instagram. I wasn't even sure if they were still performing at the time. I hadn't seen anything. I wasn't looking for them. They were just a favorite group of mine from growing up. So they saw the video, put it in their stories, put it on their profile. I'm like, oh, that's what's up. You know, I'm like, okay, cool. All right, you know, that's love right there. On to the next episode. You know what I mean? And so I want to say about a week or so after that, I get a DM from the leader of the group, the founder, Bobby Harris, and manager. And they like, want to talk to you about some opportunities. So I'm thinking like, talk to me. What happened? I'm like, it must be a Let It Whip contest or something. I'm like, all right, you know, like, well, we got to, you know, saying slap out on Let It Whip for, you know, just fun. So I didn't think it was anything that was going to be like lasting. And well, lo and behold, when I talked to them, they had checked out the video. They were really impressed by, you know, the way I played. I guess they factor the things like look and all that stuff like that. And by the time it was done, the conversation, because I really didn't believe. I'm like, man, they were offering me a position in the band. I'm like, man, come on, man. Like you just, you know what I mean? Like really off a 60-second, give me a job and that. And I mean, I'm from Cleveland and all that, and that's an important thing because they don't live here anymore, none of them. But I'm like, come on, man, this don't happen like that, you know? So it was like 3 conversations I had with them before it was like, yo, this is really about to be a thing where I'm about to join the group. So I ended up coming in. I played bass the first 6 months. At some point, they found out I could sing. I didn't tell them that I could sing. I should be real strategic and play my cards very carefully. I'm like, all right, look, you know, I'm a solo artist with my whole situation over here. My biggest concern when I joined the group was I didn't want to get swallowed up in Dazz Band. And now my solo career goes by the wayside. My band, you know what I mean? Everything that I've worked hard to build a name for myself that I've done successfully. I didn't want to let that go because I'm so, you know what I'm saying, just overwhelmed with work from Dazz Band. Great opportunity. I was excited about it. You know, all the good things, you know, like, you know, definitely a blessing without a doubt. But that was my biggest concern. So I'm like, yo, slow walk it. Come in, play bass. I'm a singer naturally. So I said, once I get kind of like locked in with the bass line, I'm gonna probably automatically start singing backgrounds anyway, because I knew the songs. You know, I was coming in knowing their catalog already. So it wasn't much I had to learn. It was just kind of getting familiar with moving around on the bass, but I didn't have to, how does this song go? I knew how it went already. So getting into the band about maybe 6 months in, they had discovered I could sing. And conversations were coming up. They wanted the original bass player that was there before me, how that door opened was, I think he didn't want to get the COVID shot. And so they was like, okay, well, then we got to look for somebody else. Lo and behold, they find my video on Instagram, just randomly bring me in. And so he was by that point, like, I guess, you know, I'm going to get the shot when I come back to work or whatever. So it was like, well, Alvin's a singer. He'd be great on the front line. Let's move him to the front line. So then I, you know, hung the bass up, let him take that back over, and I went to the front line. And I mean, just opportunity, you know, just going on, man, the road and meeting like a lot of these groups and stuff I grew up listening to, you know, like we do a lot of shows with, you know, becoming friends with like guys in groups like Confunction, but the guys in Rolls Royce, guys in Zap, the guys in Midnight Star, you know, just to like name a few, you know what I'm saying? Just to become Switch, all these different people I've become friends with that I know by name, that I talk to, as well as just the legends that were already in the band, Skip Martin, Bobby Harris, all these people. It's just been an amazing experience, man, to get the chance to meet and befriend these people, man. That was like the icing on the cake. It was like one thing to get the job and get go on the road with these guys, but it was another thing to get a chance to share the stage and like get to hang and meet Cool in the Gang, all these different people like that. Like, man, you know, these people like who know me by name, you know, when they see me, hey, how you doing? How you doing, young man? Blah, blah, blah. You're like, I got the albums at home, you know what I mean? So, you know what I'm saying? I know him, I know him, I know him. I put the record on. But you know, so that's like the coolest part about being with him is having the opportunity to be a part of a legendary group who's from Cleveland, you know, and having a chance to meet so many of the groups and artists that I came up with listening to and be able to befriend them. That's been beautiful.
You know, being a part of such a legendary band, do you feel pressure to like honor that legacy or just like bring your own flavor since it's like, you know, to appeal to a newer generation, that kind of thing?
It's like a combination of pressure. I think I felt more pressure in the beginning, definitely. Being that I'm almost at year 5 in June, um, not as much pressure now because you kind of, you know,
Getting your groove.
yeah, you know, it's like with anything, you want to stay true to the blueprint while making sure you know, leave your own thumbprint. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's very important to know how to move between. That's why it's so important, me knowing the history of the group, knowing their catalog as well as I do. So I know how to like find my place when it's time to do the music, you know. Okay, this is what the record is doing. And then if I'm gonna put a little something there, just put a little splash of myself in there and then lock in on that blueprint. So it's cool. The biggest thing is just like, you know, where's so and so at? Where's so and so at? It's like, yo, people age out.
Mm-hmm.
People unfortunately pass away. I don't think everybody considers that when you look at legacy groups, you know what I'm saying? It just happens. The main thing is as long as whoever's over those groups are recruiting the right kind of people to, like you said, KP, to carry on that legacy, even with,
Mm-hmm.
you know, obviously me being younger, I appeal to a younger audience. So I bring, you know, help bring some of the younger ladies to the table, as well as, you know, a couple of other guys that we recruited that are one guy's younger than me. He's the main lead. He's like 31, 32 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he brings, you know, an element there, and he's a great artist on his own too. So it's like, you know, by having young guys in the band, we definitely help to expand the demographic to bring younger people to the floor.
I love that.
Oh, for sure, yes. So besides being, again, a part of the legendary group Dazz Band and a solo artist, you're also an actor, and you've been a part of some major motion pictures such as Judas and the Black Messiah, Captain America, Winter Soldier, and the other Miles Ahead, actually, one of my favorite films. And then also you've had some lead roles in like Hand Delivered and Crystal Teardrops and all those other ones.
Yeah.
This might come off as a stupid question, but what's your philosophy or way, if you will, to compartmentalize acting from performing musically? Like how would you differentiate the two?
I mean, you know, when you're acting, obviously it's you because you're a character, you're playing a character. Um, so you got to be someone who is good at compartmentalizing, right? You got to be good at compartmentalizing. You got to have great sense of memorization. But you know, I also I found like a bridge too, because there's a little bit of theatric when you perform. You know, if you let me say this, I'm an entertainer, so that makes a difference. You got people who are great performers, you got people who are entertainers. Everybody on stage singing and playing are not entertainers, right? They're entertaining you with their talent, but they're not entertainers, right? That doesn't necessarily mean they're not good, they're not great, but there's just two different lanes within that. I'm on the entertainer side, right? So with that, I understand all the extra stuff that you want to add to a performance to make it impactful, right? And being free enough to do that, because that's another thing. I think to be an entertainer, you have to be free. If you're not, you're never gonna advance to that point because you're gonna be like, oh, that's gonna look stupid, that's gonna look this, you're gonna be in your head too much. You're just never gonna find that freedom to that degree. As an actor, I think how I code switch is just like, again, it just gives me a chance to just go in, help develop this character, and, you know, focus on how I can give the most believable performance, when I get going. And the other thing is, you know, as an actor, you also want to be committed. And for me, just like when somebody say which one you like more, I'm like, I'm equally passionate about both. I'm just as passionate about my acting as I am being a musician. So the passion is definitely the bridge for me because it travels wherever I go. It's always in my suitcase. So whatever road I'm traveling down, passion is close by.
Sure, for sure. All right. So today, to our audience, Alvin Frazier, he just released a new single called "Feels Right" today. So it's available on all digital streaming platforms. I'll go ahead and check it out. And so, talk about some of the influences behind that, and also you have a dance challenge or some sort of challenge to go with it as well. Correct?
So yeah, when we made the announcement a couple of weeks ago about Feels Right being released today, um, we decided to do a Feels Right video challenge. And basically what it was is just people would an 11-second clip where people will either try to lip sync to the hook of the song or just kind of like set the, you can set the audio to whatever it is you're doing. You're in the kitchen cooking noodles, it's just kind of going on in the background. You know what I mean? Like, and we were doing that just to kind of get attention to the song, to build up momentum for today, for April 24th, and, kind of shake the algorithm, if you will. And man, we were seeing videos come from all over the world. And that was really, a blessing because I had not experienced that. And so shout out to Marlon McClain, who was also one of my brothers in the Dazz Band, and legendary guitar player. He's played with Jeff Lorber. He was in the group called Pleasure before that. Funk song called Glide. Look it up if you don't know any funk heads. They gonna know it right away as soon as I said his name. Who worked with me on that song, and Wiley Morris, who actually wrote and produced that record. The combination of those guys, man, being behind it, we cut it in Atlanta, and man, it just feels right. You know what I mean? It's the first song that I've done that I think has more of a mainstream R&B sound, and so I'm excited about seeing where that go, because I'd never really attempted to do anything, kind of sort of, but not really. That wasn't really like the lane I was trying to travel or go in. But when Feels Right came along, I said, man, this is a great song. And it was like, yeah, maybe you need to reconsider that. It's all good, just be creative, do what you do, put out great music. It's going to be all good. So far, leading up to today, it's been good. So now, today is D-Day, where we see what it really does. I just celebrated celebrated a birthday yesterday, so it's all good.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure. All right, so we got so we're getting to the tail end of it. This is where we're getting to the fun stuff. So
Okay.
All right. So we got some fun questions for you, and we'll let you go. So first one, I need a Mount Rushmore of R&B artists, then a Mount Rushmore of actors. Okay. Yeah, I know it's probably not that easy, but yeah, we're gonna.
Mount Rushmore R&B singers. Okay. I would say, goodness gracious, that's a hard one. Let me work it out, though. I'm working out. Oh man. Man, when I think about singers that I really enjoy, so many of them. I would say if I had to pick, Skip Martin is one of them, actually, from the Dazz Band. I mean, I sound like a shameless plug, but truthfully, when I think about like singers that had a strong influence on me when I was growing up, he was one of them. Donny Hathaway. Sure. Joe. Joe is one of my big figures. Yeah, Joe. Let's see. Shaka Khan.
I knew he was gonna say it. I knew he was gonna say Shaka.
That's the one. That's the one. Because everybody know I sure love me some Shakas. So
yeah. Seeing her perform live a couple of years ago, festival that we did with them, it was incredible watching her do a yeah, yeah. That was a hard one, man, because my list is
Gotcha.
yeah.
All right. So what about actors?
Actors, so I would say Denzel. And I hate to sound cliche. Denzel, no, like truthfully, him, Sidney Poitier.
Mm.
Love Sidney Poitier's work. I would say Robert De Niro.
Mm-hmm.
God, oh, this is a good one. Cause I'm, cause as soon as it's over, I'm like, dang, I was thinking about this one, thinking about that one. Let me see. Yeah, actor. Let me see. And let's go with Cicely Tyson.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
that's royalty right there.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of meeting her before. She was amazing, beautiful person.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
All right. So and then so we here we do a thing called soundtrack to your life.
Okay.
So you give us a list of songs that have resonated with you since you got into music, or more specifically, and this kind of ties in with music and movies. So if somebody made a biopic of your life, what songs would you want on that soundtrack?
Oh, geez. The theme from Shaft, the original one, Isaac Hayes. Because
Yes.
actually, that's one of my honorable mentions. An actor, I would say the late great Richard Roundtree. He was a great actor, and
Yes.
he really like influenced me to want to act. To be honest, it was Richard Roundtree. So I would say the theme from Shaft, the original. I would say "Don't Ask My Neighbors" by
Emotions.
mm-hmm.
Come on, somebody.
"The Walk" by The Time.
Hmm.
Okay, so I'll give a few more. This is "So May It Secretly Begin" by the Pat Metheny Group.
Yes. Come on here.
That's one of the most
Yeah.
perfect songs I ever heard was "So May It Secretly Begin." Oh my gosh, yeah. I heard that song for the first time when it came out 40 years ago. Then I would probably say "Come Inside" by Intro.
Mm.
My stuff is so vast, man.
For sure. Yeah.
"Just Gets Better with Time" by the Whispers. "Just Believe in Love" by the Dazz Band.
Mm-hmm.
"Something About That Woman" by Lakeside. It's another group of some friends of mine too. Those guys are great. "Send for Me" by Atlantic Star. "Send for Me" by
Come
Atlantic
on.
Star.
Come on here.
"Slow Jam" by Midnight Star. I'll stop there because my list can go.
Listen, we get it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Same here. Yeah. We're all eclectic. So
Yes, I'm like I gotta get into Steely Dan and the Doobie Brothers, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
All of it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Great. Like, this is amazing.
Alvin, we want to thank you so much for your time and being on the show. And yeah, y'all make sure y'all go get that new single "Feels Right" released today.
Yes.
And I believe if you want to, you still have time to do or be a part of the video challenge. Spread the word.
Sure.
Spread a little love one to another about this new single out. So it's a good song. Y'all go check it out. All right. So this has been another episode of the Impediment Company Music Podcast, the show made by music enthusiasts
For music enthusiasts.
That's right, y'all. Free to land.